Hello everyone, Edain here, and welcome back to another Edain mod ranking video. This time I'm going to be ranking some maps. 16 maps in total, none in any particular order. I'm just doing them from what the Edain mod ModDB page has given me. I say the ModDB page, the fandom page. There's 16 maps that they've fully looked at, fully analysed, showing like points of interest, all the camps, castles, outposts, settlements, lairs, all of it. And I'm going to go through all of them, and I'm going to give a ranking from S to D, depending on how I personally like them, which maps I would recommend for people to play on, either PvP or PvE. I'm not going that much into it, but I've got a few. I've got a nice few statistics just going through all of those 16 maps. Let's begin. The first map is the Aranna, the famous statues of Elendil and Isildur, which, if you didn't know, was actually meant to be Isildur and Anarion, but they changed it in the movies. I don't know why, but it's a decent map that has existed since Battle for Middle-earth 2. With camp starts on both the north and southern borders of the map, and goblins infesting the area. There's some lone towers you can pick up, settlements quite nicely spotted everywhere, and a single outpost, which makes the left side of the map more contested than the right side, in the early stages of the game at least. And then when you get to the late stages, you can try and do some nasty maneuvers from the other side. But all in all, I'd say this being quite a small map, it's a bit of a starter map. I'd say it gets you into dealing with the more simple layers, the goblins. You're quite close to your starting enemy. You've not got a lot of ground to really cover, but the ground you do cover does have some, also has a lot of greenery. So Isengard, the dwarves have access to a lot of wood to chop down. The elves can hide in the forests. The Ethelon rangers can hide in the forests. You've got a lot of choices, and that is why this map is getting a B tier. Plus the statues are always a nice touch, and they've even polished them up a bit with the Edain mod. And if you didn't know, because I actually didn't know, Gollum only ever spawns on the north and southern borders of the statues on this map. The next map is an Arnor map, and a map I have a bit of a grudge with is the River Loon, which has you playing on camp starts again, having 3 players on either side of the Great River, and they're not really much distance between them. It's actually quite a small map, even though I have called it more of a medium-sized map, because of all of the ground you can actually cover if you just play one-on-one. It's about the same size as a medium-sized map. But when you go 3v3, you find very quickly that there's not a lot of ground between you and your opponents. And even more so, if you're playing against AI, that take these outposts right in the middle really quickly, along with killing off any trolls or wargs that protect the settlements and outposts in this area. I hate this map for so many reasons, because whenever I would play on this map back in, I think, 4.5 days. This was a good few years ago now. But I would always lose an AI ally in the first 5 minutes of a game, and it would just trigger me to no end. I did so many takes trying to get a good video on this map, and I really thought I was going to, but I didn't. But anyway, back to the actual map itself. Has a lot of outposts, a total of 6. 2 behind the center camp on both sides. 2 on each. One outpost on each corner makes another 2, and then another 2 dead in the center where you can see the 2 troll layers. And then there's wargs patrolling around as well, although that does not deter the AI in the slightest. But yeah, when you notice it's basically a Fords of Eisen map for 6 players, you start to realise, maybe this is not the best map. I'm not going to lie, it's still a fun map. It's an Arnor map. You don't get a lot of those. So you got to enjoy a good bit of Arnor where you can. So I would put this under C tier. Not great, just because of my past experiences. But in a 3v3 in player PvP, I imagine it's a lot more enjoyable because of the constant fighting that goes on this river. Next on my list is Kyros, the original Kyros map. And oh, this map brings back a lot of memories. It's a very fun map, which honestly has probably got one of the hardest streaks of just getting destroyed immediately by an AI if they take this center outpost. Because it's one of the few maps where an outpost is not protected by a single layer. All the layers are protecting settlements or the outpost at the northern end of the map. I remember when Kyros used to be a 3-player map, you'd have 1 player up at the top and then the 2 players on the sides. And the Edain team did recreate that with the actual fortress map of Kyros, which I actually really love. But also this map in particular, it just works because you've got a small river crossing which you can come across to attack from a nasty point. Or you can just use it to keep a nice settlement and let the wargs live. Or you can keep going up north to get another settlement that's protected by a troll. You've really got to fight for those early settlements. But if you take the outpost in the centre, you're doing a bit of... It's a double-edged sword with this outpost. Because it's not protected by anything, you could take it straight away. And some factions, like, for example, Imladris... the dwarves even now with Dale and Lake Town can make immense value out of a super cheap outpost. Just build it up immediately. The opponent, either player or AI, will not be able to react fast enough. If they don't make any siege, they'll never get rid of this. And then you just hold another whole key stage of the map, which means you can then take the settlement down there. You can take the settlements that... the settlement up here, and then you can even move up to the outpost up here and just get more free gold from the goblins up there. I really like it. And another thing is all these ruined towers act as a nice bastion to protect you from any threat from across the rivers, across the bridges. And even though it is a very small map, you've got castle start as well, so that just adds an extra layer of protection to the castle. I really like this map. I'm just going to keep saying it. It's a difficult map to get used to, but when you get used to it, you can have so much fun on this map. And I had a lot of fun with this when I did the Edain mod story playing as the goblins. I would give this map an A. First A of the day. Definitely worth it. I recommend this map to any player that is trying to learn the Edain mod and is coming from playing just BFME Rise of the Witch King or even Age of the Ring. This map is a staple map for Battle for Middle-earth. Next on the list we have the Kelwin River. A map that honestly was better when it was free build instead of settlements and outposts, because this map does not give a lot. And I'm trying my best not to laugh because of how funny I actually find this. Look at all this open space. You cannot fill any of this with anything, and I mean anything. It's just all empty space in between you and your opponent. You're pretty much always guaranteed to fight on this area in this giant just courtyard area of Lake Town, and you're just kind of forced to always rely upon getting all your up units and replenishment from your main base and the outpost north or south of where your base is. And those outposts aren't actually protected by anything. These trolls are just patrolling around. Unless the outpost is mega big, like for example Lake Town. If it's a small outpost, small basic outpost, it can actually survive without this troll doing anything, which I find a bit silly. And then of course Golem only actually appears on Lake Town, so you're always guaranteed to find the ring. If if you look hard enough, you'll find the ring and then be able to give it to your ring hero, if you have the ring on, of course. And although this map may have a lot of river, because of where you can place your boats, I would say this is one of the largest maps of base BFME2 and in the Edain mod in general. I do like this map. It has a nice look to it. The actual Lake Town aesthetic is really nice. I just wish there was more ways of integrating it into the game instead of just having it as an existing location. It looks nice, but you never actually get to look at it because you're knee deep in a battle with who knows what, or a Kai maybe. I would give this map a C. It definitely escapes the D tier because I think it is a bit too big and a bit too much open space. That only factions like the dwarves with like summoned citadels and lone towers, or the Misty Mountains with their free build system. They're the only two factions I'd say that have any advantage being on a map this big with so little settlements or outposts to work with. Interesting little bit of lore for this map, the Druidan Forest. Theoden and his Rohirrim came through this way and actually met with the Druidine known as Garnburigan, along with the other Wazzers who existed here, who live here, call this place their home, and help guide them through the forest to get to Minas Tirith. Anyway, back to the actual thing. Very big castle-style map, not quite, I'd say, large. I'd say it's about medium, very close to large. But unlike with the Kelwin River, this map has a lot of open just space where you can move around. There's outposts in every corner where you can intercept with other enemy AI or players. There's, as you can see, they're all in the four cardinal directions, north, east, south, and west. And then in the four corners, protected by wargs, are the outposts. All around is also goblins, just existing in their little lairs. And of course you can see all the little like farms and huts of whoever would have existed here, which would be maybe some peaceful Rohirrim peasants, along with some Druidine woodsmen. And you can see here, even in the centre, you've got 4 outposts to contest with, which means that you're always going to be fighting on this map. You're always going to be fighting over something on this map because all 4 players actually exist really close together. It might not look like it because of these plots being empty, but you can see the fortress here for the elves is only a little walk away from another faction. So if you're not careful, you could very easily get yourself into a 2v1 situation. Or worse, 3v1 if they really want to just kill someone. But I really like this map. It's really big. It's from the original Battlegrounds 1 game. I played it a lot back in those days. I loved playing on this map. It's just so wide and open. You can work with anything you want. And you can even just bunker down in your little corner of the map and just wait for the others to kill each other before you actually push in. I'm giving this map a A ranking, and it definitely deserves it because of everything I've stated, along with just looking really nice. It's simple, it's nice in the background with all the White Mountains as well, because this is in the White Mountains region. I really like it. The next map on my list is Eastern Ethelon. Honestly, one of my favourite maps of the Edain mod in general. It just has so much going for it. And I'm fairly certain this is an Edain made map. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm fairly certain they made this map. And it is so good. You've got 3 different ways to come out and attack the enemy from, or to protect yourself against from the enemy from. You've got both north and south, which are protected by goblins and wargs in the beginning, which gives you a nice bit of economy boost if you go there. Outposts on both sides in the centre, so you're fighting for those outposts. If you really, really want to try and hold the enemy off on one position and force them to try and destroy that outpost, you can really bottleneck them into thinking that that's the right way to go. It's actually better to ignore the enemy outpost and try and make your own, or just boost up your own camp and settlements in your base by getting the other outpost if you want to. But you can also, if you destroy the troll, which offers a lot more money than either the goblins or the wargs do, you get a settlement and a foothold in the centre of the map, which gives you vision of the rest of the map. It's a very small map, but it does so much. You actually feel like you have to go a decent distance to reach the other base because of all these extra settlements that are surrounding the base. It's one of my favourites. It just, even though it's one of the smallest maps, it has a lot of settlements and outposts you can just claim. There's two settlements in the center on both the north and south. There's one in the middle. There's 4 right next to each camp. And then there's, of course, the 2 outposts. I love this map. There's also the towers everywhere. I love when they put in the sentry towers. It just gives you even more chances to just hold the line and not instantly die. I'm giving this map S tier. Perfect map. I love it. And anyone that is new to BFME1 in general, I would recommend playing on this map. It does so well. Everything about it is amazing. Next up, the Fords of Eisen, S rank. Do I need to say anything else? I'm joking. Yeah, the Fords of Eisen is definitely an S tier map, but there's so many reasons why. One, you've got your castle starts, but actually feel a distant part away because of all the locations you can go to. There's layers protecting nearly every settlement that are either wildmen, wargs, or even trolls when you get to the centre. I was thinking of Fords of Eisen 1 where they're actually in the corners. But no, on this Fords of Eisen 2 map, which is people are much more acquainted with because BFME1 2 got more popular, such and such. But yeah, in Edain, the camps, the outposts even, are in the centre of the map, very close to each other as well. So you could steal one by killing the troll there, and then just move over to the next one and try and take that. But you're so close to the enemy base by doing that, it's not normally recommended, although you certainly can try. And then obviously, as I mentioned, every settlement is protected by a lair. It makes you fight for every single resource, and fighting for those resources gives you more resources to build those buildings or even expand upon your base in so many different aspects. And it's just so simple, but it's so beautiful. You've got the little waterfalls coming down here. It's just so nice, and I recommend this map to anyone just wanting to have a good time in BFME1 in general. BFME1 1, 2, Rise of the Witch King, Age of the Ring, Edain mod, bottom mod, any style of gameplay. Always give Fords of Eisen the chance it deserves. It is a beautiful map that just keeps getting better with every single inclusion that it gets. And I don't think there's any more good things I can say about this map. It's perfect. And now we come to one of the worst maps, I think, in my opinion, in the Edain mod. Not by choice, but it does... I do hesitate to play on this map. It's the Golf of Loon. It's actually a very small map, considering it's... you've got one road to go down. That is basically the entirety of this map. You've got very few settlements around the entirety of this map. Your castle is basically your home, and that is where you have to get everything from, and just pray it's enough, because you don't have a lot in the ways of outposts on this map. You don't have a lot in the way of space either for like Misty Mountains. And you only get one outpost, which is protected by a single troll in the dead center in the map. And I think the thing that annoys me the most about this map is that there's this nice big body of water, but no ports, which I think is a lost opportunity. I thought that... I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't like ports as much as the next person in BFME1, but I mean, it's just a lost opportunity. I feel like whenever there's a big body of water like this that can obviously be sailed across, which has, as you can see, been sailed across, because these broken ships here, there could have been some ports just to make it a bit more. I don't know. I do know this map is meant to be like an Easter egg map. You play Imladris on the left side, and then you fight some goblins, and that was cool. But now the goblins actually exist in the game, and I don't know. But yeah, it's a weird one. I've never particularly enjoyed playing on this map. It never feels right. Just all you're doing is just going to be entering the Thunderdome, this little beach here, just waiting to kill each other before you finally then move on to the center and then the enemy base. It is a small map. It's meant to feel small, I mean, it does have its own little charms to it. I'll admit it is a nice map, but it doesn't quite meet what I would like for most maps, which is actually having to use more strategy instead of just bunkering down in one location. Because again, there's you can't actually go up this area here. That's another area you can't go up. You just have to got to bunker down and fight on this long path all the way down to the other person, or even first just to get to here. And if you can get here first, then great, because that means you've got an outpost. But then you realise your outpost is kind of just dead in the middle, and then you've got to come back out again, and then move through here, and there's not even a lot to really gain. There's a lot of layers, but not a lot of things to actually get. Those wargs are doing nothing down there. You can ignore them for the entirety of the game, and just focus on the fight here. It definitely could be better. It's a D tier map for me. I could definitely see more potential being put into a map like this in the future. I just feel like this map could have had more, and it missed out. Here we go, back to another BFME staple map. We have the Iron Hills, a map that came in with BFME2, and again, it's another map that really did better with the free build system, mainly because the layer placements on this map are a bit goofy. You've got goblins up here, which looks nice, and they are doing stuff. Two of them are protecting settlements even, but then the two outposts on the map are being protected by nothing. Again, factions like Enlargerus and the Dwarves can just go up there, take that outpost straight away, and make massive economy from very little investment, which is really, really wacky in my opinion. But you know, it happens. It is still a nice map overall. It's a large map, considering that it's about the same. It is definitely larger than most maps, but it is just a straight beeline from one base to the next. But you've got a lot of different paths to go through, and also the Fire Drake placements as well is a nice touch in the Iron Hills. It gives a lot of difficulty to try and take those extra settlements, but if you put the extra time and effort in to take out those layers, you'll definitely reap the benefits. And again, taking an early outpost on a map is something that some players are afraid to do, especially against AI that can spam siege really early on in the game. But honestly, if you can do it, then do it. Get it out early, reap those benefits, especially with the dwarves. The dwarves have made it so actually getting an early outpost is viable because of how powerful they get the longer you have it. So if you're playing on this map, play as the dwarves. Have some fun with Erebor or Erel, and just go out, get Dale, get Lake Town, and just obliterate with that early outpost. Just make sure to protect it. It is quite far away from your base, and you've got a lot of ground to have to cover, which is mostly empty between each of them. There's only one settlement between each one there and there. But overall, I'm giving this map a B tier. It would be A if it weren't for the silly placements of the layers. If some of them were used to like protect the outpost, if there was like a goblin lair just protecting the outpost, that would at least slow down the immediate outpost game that the AI can do as well. I think that's the bigger thing that I'm more annoyed about than anything else. But otherwise, it is a really fun map, really good. You've got a lot of different ways to just move around, do what you want in any order. You've just got a lot of things that work for every faction, and I mean every faction benefits from the Iron Hills map. Next up, we have another Ethelon map, and this time it is just Ethelon, not east, not north, not southeast. It's Ethelon, which is another quite small map, but again, kind of like Fords of Eisen, it's just one of the more generic maps that a lot of people will play on because of how simple it is, and it just works. You've got layers everywhere, which are just basic orc layers, which means you can take them out quite easily. It's a nice look as well because it is Edain generated. It's not a original BFME design to have orcs as the lair instead of goblins. There's settlements in enough places that you have to move out soon enough to get more. But also, you can get the outposts in either corner. One faction definitely has it a lot easier than the other because of how close it actually is to your base, while the other one has it a little bit further away. Although saying that, back in the days of free build, the player on the north would have it a lot better off than for the player in the south because of the river. At least in my experience, it would be easier to actually have more space than less space on the river side. At least that was how I always saw it. But either way, this map, including the nice little look of the Forbidden Pool, I like how they put it here, and then about 2 other different affiliate maps. We've just got the Forbidden Pool, and then you've also got some Gondorian ruins over by here. You can see there, it's quite nice. And yeah, this map has not really changed much since BFME1, other than obviously the layers itself, but it just works. You can never complain about this map because it's so simple, but it does everything it needs to. It gives the players the chance to build up on their side of the river. The river is a way of indicating this is your side of the map or this is your side of the map. You don't cross that side unless you want to fight the enemy. That has always been my mindset anyway. And obviously the AI will never really think that way. They just go straight in to attack you. But from my experience, it's always better to stay on your side of the river until you're ready to go off and attack. That's always been my mindset, and that's why this one gets an A rank. Oh look, it's the Forbidden Pools again. It's Northern Ethelon now that we're having a look at. And I think the main thing about this map is about why I'm giving it such a low rank is the fact that I'm used to it being a... firstly, look at that sun. Oh, that's blinding. Well, this used to be a very interestingly made campaign mission map where you would start in the Forbidden Pool. You could recruit from there, get rangers, destroy some orcs, some Mumakil, and move over there, ambush some Mumakil, and then destroy this base before they made more Mumakil. But it's always a weird thing looking back on this map and seeing what they've made it into. It's very interesting how they've done it. I do like it. I'm not complaining. It is another weird one where it has like an undefended outpost in the middle of the map where one faction has a slightly easier time reaching it than the other one, which is a lot further away. And then you've got the other outposts, which are very heavily guarded by 2 trolls on both sides. And then nearly every other settlement that's not right next to a castle is protected by goblins along the 2 lower roadsides. It's always nice seeing rangers positioned here, for example, recreating that scene from the good old days from the Battlegrounds 1 campaign. But I feel like this map is very straightforward. Not straightforward. Sorry, no. Let's not say that. Let's say you can just go straight from here to here, only go down these paths, and never actually interact with those trolls and those outposts. Like, the AI hardly ever go up these ways, so you could just pretty much bottleneck the entire experience between there and there, and it's just not really... It's weird because it's also a castle start. I feel like this map doesn't really belong in a castle start position, and if it were, I feel like if they could make it a camp start position, they could even make it a 4-player camp start if they want to do something like that. But that's just me theory crafting. This is a C tier map in my opinion. It has got a lot of potential to it. It's just that I have too much nostalgia of just having the Forbidden Pools and doing stuff with that. I don't like playing on this map just because it doesn't have that right that it factor. that I normally have with maps. Is again very bottlenecked. You don't have to use a lot of strategy, and going down these ways is not actually incentivized because of how well protected they are with the trolls. You're much better off just destroying the goblins, taking the center outpost, and then just rushing the other AI to death, the other player to death even. There isn't that much strategy behind this map, and it is quite small, despite the fact that I have called it a medium map. But again, ignoring these two bits here, it's just a straight down one side to one side map, and that is why it's getting C tier. Now, interestingly, we have a map I've never actually played on before, and it's a lot smaller than I thought it would be from what I've been looking at it. The Plateau of Gorov is a 5-player map, which actually has a bit of a pretty obvious look to it. You've got 2 players on one side, you've got 3 players on the other side. This is meant to be played as like a 2v3 scenario where you'd have like 2 players duking it out against 3 AI kind of situation, which one I like for obvious reasons. Secondly, you don't have to play it out like that at all. You could play it out really just like full-on 5-player free-for-all. And I think it'd actually be really fun to try a 5-player free-for-all on this map. Obviously, the 2v3 is what it's meant to actually be. But as you can see here, you've got a lot of settlements between these 2 camps, and very few settlements lined up between these 3 camps. But that honestly gives you more reason to try and push out, make more than one enemy in a 5-player free-for-all, and really risk everything. And obviously, between these 2, whoever wins is going to have a much easier time out of whoever wins out of these 3. But those if it's a PvP scenario instead of a PvE scenario, you can actually have some of these deciding, instead of fighting each other immediately, just working together to beat out whoever's there, take what's there, and then try and beat each other up doing that. This could be a very big back and forth map, which is not a lot you see in maps like this. Firstly, again, this is a 5-player map, by the way. I've already mentioned that, but I just want to make sure that is very much clear about what's going on here. They're 5 players, so you've got 5 camps, which means if you have enough resources, you can build a camp. You can build a new camp, and then just keep pumping out more troops, getting more resources, basically doubling up your initial power. And then you've also got the 2 outposts in the north and south, which deliberately is meant to be made to stop players from the left and the right from immediately going to battle with each other, and also the orcs in between each of them. And also the orcs that are just surrounding these areas too is just a nice little touch there. And obviously Gollum, if you saw at the very beginning, he was sitting in the middle here. He always wanders around from the middle to wherever he wants. And on a small map like this, you can very easily get Gollum as well, which some factions get a lot more value out of it than others, finding an early Gollum. But yeah, overall, I'd say, even though I've never played on this map before, I have no idea how the AI would actually work on this map. Although, from my experience, I would say it's quite clear that you would be fighting constantly. You'd have to use quite a bit of strategy when going from left to right, because there's 1, 2, 3 different areas. This area blocks off a massive chunk, which means that players from both sides would have to organize and strike from all those different points. And if siege is involved, you've got a lot of trouble, because that's a lot of bottleneck locations, so cavalry is going to really struggle moving around. You've got a lot of things to think about on this map. I'm going to give this a B tier, purely because I don't know what else to give it. It's pretty much middle of the road for what I can really grasp of it from literal first-hand non-experience. Yeah, I think is the best way to call it. But yeah, B tier is definitely where I think this map would belong. Although, saying that I haven't played on it before, we're not quite far away from playing it in our just playing the free-for-all skirmishes. We're getting close to 5 players. Back to another classic BFME map, and probably one of the more famous 2v2 player maps for PvP vanilla is the Tower Hills. As you can see, lots of towers and they're on hills, so the name definitely is correct. You've got settlements and outposts galore on this map. Outposts in the centre, north and south in the middle. You've got settlements surrounding every castle, and a lot of those settlements are actually protected by the wargs that are surrounding them. And I say yes, there are some settlements that are actually close enough to the warg lairs that if they're too big, the wargs will actually chase out and catch them. And this map definitely has a lot of personality to it, with the trees turning into more like an autumn style, which I like. Instead of just having it pure green, you've got some new colours to work with, so that can actually work with like the elves in stealth, because the elves' actual colours I think work better blending in with those colours. I don't know why I'm trying to get you on foliage, but anyway, back to what I was talking about before. The towers on this map are very well positioned because of where they're all surrounding. Firstly, where Golem always will spawn is always around this troll cage lair, and then the outpost in the center is dead in the center. If you don't want to have to go a more long route to reach an enemy outpost, enemy base, you're going to have to go for the center. And the center is very important because of the outpost that exists there, as well as in the north and south. If you're playing a 2v2, if you're playing both factions on allied in the north, you've got an outpost in the middle, and again with the south, you've got one in the middle. But if you play where your allies are fighting on the right, and then the other two on the left, you're competing for 3 outposts, which is a completely different game to what you had when you were fighting north to south. And also, if you're fighting diagonals, I don't know why you'd do that. You're just doing a whole smorgasbord of nonsense. But I like your enthusiasm. But yeah, you're basically almost always going to have to fight for an outpost. If you're fighting for more than one outpost, then it just makes the game even more interesting. And also, in a lot of cases, the player that will get the outpost first will be the player that has a higher chance of winning most of the time. Obviously, there are some factions that have who work better without needing an outpost just with the castle. For example, Lothlorien is a good example of that. They don't need anything other than what's in their castle. But having a Merkwood outpost, for example, is never a bad thing. But yeah, this map offers so much versatility in how it can be played. Even in a free-for-all, you're always fighting for something important that another player is going to want to get. But if you get it first, it could turn the tables completely. And that is why this gets an A tier ranking. Also because it is just a popular map. It's large, considering that I'd say normally this is a medium-sized map. But because of how many different ways you have to move around constantly, and also with things like these hills and the towers there, I'd say this map is a lot larger than what the scale actually has to give it. So that is why it's getting the A tier. Here is another actual BFME staple map, Umbar. But unlike Tower Hills, I think I wouldn't call it a PvP friendly map. I wouldn't call it a PvE friendly map. I would say this is to put it plainly, a get good map. This is the kind of map you just experiment on and just have fun with, because it is like the Golf of Loon, just a straight up walk from one position to the next. I don't know why it's all turning kind of grey when I'm looking far away. I don't like that at all. But yeah, this map is very much just the same as the Golf of Loon. You go from one location, bottlenecked, all the way to the other location. But unlike the Golf of Loon, you actually have the ports to do a bit of strategy, get some ships set up and just sail to the other side and attack the enemy from the other side, which has a lot more potential for fun than what you get with the Golf of Loon, which is just a straight up, didn't mean to do that. It's just a straight up move from one side to the next. One thing I wish they'd bring back is the actual Umbar defenders around this outpost. There's nothing actually protecting this outpost from just getting taken. All you've got for layers are the 2 barrow whites, which are incredibly annoying, being that close to your base, and the spiderlings, which protect a settlement and the ports themselves. Which, yeah, there's not a lot to gain from this map with layers. And again, the only real saving grace, I hate to say it, are the ports. They're one of the few saving grace of the Umbar map. It is pretty much a if you're learning to play the game for if you're the first, this is the first time you're playing the game, play Umbar. But otherwise, don't play on Umbar. You've got a lot of better choices to play on. This map gets a C tier grade from me. Just because I don't think it's D tier. I don't think it deserves to get the D. But yeah, let's put it this way. It's a map you play to have fun with, because otherwise you're just going and beating down from one location to the next. Slowly, you just grind down the enemy, and it doesn't feel like you're employing any strategy. You're just going straight in, guns blazing, and then you win or you lose. Next up, we have Weathertop, a map very similar in size and scale to the Tower Hills, but has some very distinct differences. One, as you can probably tell, instead of just one troll layer, all of the layers are trolls. Trolls are everywhere on this map. And there's only a few layers that aren't trolls, like the goblins you can see right here, and the wargs that are positioned right in the centre here. There's one less outpost. There's a few more, well, I say a few more, there's one more settlement in its place, and it's this one right here. The settlement got replaced, the outpost got replaced with a settlement. Let's put it that way. You're making bacon up there. But I think the biggest difference about this map that compared to the Tower Hills is, because of all of those troll layers, the amount of money you can make early game from just taking down those trolls can really skyrocket you and snowball you even into a much better position than you would if you didn't destroy those troll layers first. If someone else gets to those trolls first and kills them, they can get an outpost early on and actually succeed with it, where you might then fall behind and lose. Which I think is really important to note. That kind of happened with me when I was playing with Gondor in the recent video with when I was playing as Gondor in the top left. I was dealing with the troll up there, getting that settlement. I managed to deal with another troll, but the dwarves started beating me to it, and so I stopped gaining as many resources from destroying layers. I didn't get to take an outpost because I didn't want to deal with the AI over here, who I didn't even know was getting smashed at the same time. But then the dwarves got really beat down. They couldn't do anything, and then Isengard, I managed to beat them down after a very long and arduous battle with them. But yeah, back to the actual map itself. Again, if you're playing 2v2, it feels like you're playing on the left all the way over against those who fight on the right. Because then you're fighting over 2 outposts. The main part of Weathertop in the middle actually gives you a bit of an incentivization to fight north to south because of how it's positioned here. You don't get the choice to go north and south on here. You have to go east and west to up on this point here, and then otherwise you're just fighting left to right, left to right. Up to down is very close together on Weathertop compared to Tower Hill, so it's actually a smaller map. And then of course obviously all the trolls and such can make the map feel a lot larger because you've got to fight for all of that space. So all in all, Weathertop is actually, from my last game experience, really fun to play on. You've got a lot of stuff outside of your base to focus on protecting, although if you aren't able to protect it, you get very quickly bunkered down, and the enemy can quickly take all those settlements that then blocks you, because there are 4 settlements outside of each base technically. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, one shared between you and your neighbour on both sides. And obviously you see the trolls here, that's a nice touch. And then you've got the outpost, the settlement in the middle, outpost to the side. You've got to really work to get that early push, because you can quickly fall behind if you don't on a map like this. And all that necessary strategy is what gives this map an A grade, in my opinion. It definitely is a very fun map, and it has a lot of lore to it. It is a BFME2 original map that actually has no like story campaign map behind it, but it has so much like love given into it. I really like this map. Lastly, but not leastly, we have Dor en Ernil, which is another actually really small map, considering you and the other player are really close to each other from the very start. The other player is right here. I don't know why the camp marker isn't there. But yeah, the other player is literally a walk away from you. But considering you're not just fighting in that little bottleneck, you've got all this other side of the map to worry about. You've got outposts right next to your base, which can offer a lot of potential for a lot of different factions. That's only protected by wogs, so all you need is some pikemen to clean that out. You've got 2 settlements protected by a troll, which then behind that is 2 more settlements. And then behind even that are some more settlements protected by goblins. You've got some ports if you want to do some things there. I don't know what those Umbar ships are doing. I don't like that there. That's kind of scary. But yeah, then you've got a nice little town here with the Warg lair just protecting another settlement. All these extra settlements you don't even need to touch. But you're heavily incentivized to go and take those settlements, because otherwise you're just that is just extra money sitting on the table doing nothing but aging, and not in a good way. But otherwise you're just a straight up fight between you and the other player. Nothing is standing in between you and the other player, but you just see all that juicy stuff in the background and you think, I've got to get that. If I get that, I get stronger. If I get stronger, I can beat the other player faster. And that is basically the aim of the game in most of the time. But on this map, you really get a chance to learn those mechanics. A lot of the 2-player maps have that little idiom about them, is that they give you a little something to learn, to then process, develop upon it, get better using it, get stronger in learning what to do, and then use that on every other map in the future, finding new ways to broaden your horizons in a way. Always look to expand. And this map is a clever way of saying, if you don't expand quick enough, you're going to fall behind unless you can kill the enemy really quickly, which I like a lot, because a lot of players are actually able to just go straight in and defeat the other player. There are some players that actually have that mindset about them. They just go straight in for the kill. And on this map, you can do it really, really, really well. But it also gives you the choice to not do that. Go all the way out there, get all that bonus stuff, and then come back to the other player. And then get ready to do that. Because on other maps, on other maps, there might be another player there, and this whole other area is just between those other players. You might think, okay, let's not push out too much. This gives you the full chance to just take all that extra land and then go straight back to the battle at hand here. It gives you time to micromanage and learn all these new things. And that's what I really like about this map. And that is why it gets the A grade. Hope you've all enjoyed my little talk about this. If you did, let me know. I'm actually tempted to do more of these ranking map videos. The only reason I've done these maps in particular is because they are detailed in the Edain mod forum. Go have a look there so you can see what I've pretty much showed you here today in more detail if you want to see that. I have actually really enjoyed doing this. and would be happy to do it again. The only way I've been able to actually show the map off fully for this amount of time is actually by playing as Lothlorien, using the mirror of Galadriel to just view the entire map the entire time, so you can see all these little things. And I want to know what those boats are all about. That's kind of scary. Do they have like treasure in them or something? That's something I've never actually thought about before. But I hope you all enjoyed my little ramblings on about what I think about these maps. And if you want more, again, just let me know. But until next time, hope you have a good day. Farewell.